Welcome into another edition of the Louisiana Loaded podcast right here from the garage in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as we get you set up for another week of what's going on in Louisiana, sports, food, culture, and we will start with the culture as our boy Willie Homers was doing God's work.
Oh, I don't know about God's
during
work.
Mardi Gras week as he did a tour of South Louisiana, and it looked great on social media, bro.
Well, it was great. We're still recovering from Jello shots and
that Thibodeau trip looked like it was.
Thibodeau was something else. I'm telling you what. We went on a little Mardi Gras tour, though. Started in New Orleans Friday, Saturday. Let's see. We hit, Friday night. We did Hermes, Coup d'etat, Morpheus, all that, kit and caboodle, Superior margaritas.
Yeah.
Walking St. Charles, the whole 9 yards. Appreciate everybody, who was out and about looking for Louisiana Loaded. Finding T-shirts, finding hats, taking pictures, all of that good stuff. And then Saturday we did Endymion, found Lane Kiffin before.
Yeah,
we could have ridden on the Tiger float, but we made a big mistake. Didn't end up riding, but we got a little interaction with Lane before.
Wait, take me in. What happened?
It was just
logistics.
Logistics didn't work out. It was literally spur of the moment. The float's going away. He's like, "Hey, Will, you want to come ride?"
Lane?
People on Lane's float, they had a little extra couple spots at the end, and I was in the middle. I was like, I just couldn't, I was going back and forth. But next year, did that, and then walked down Orleans, did all that, and handed out more shirts, and then early next morning headed to Thibodeau. They do 2 back-to-back, pretty awesome parades. Not what I was expecting. I'll be honest. Thibodeau is like. That was impressive. So they do 2 back-to-back day parades, and then it seems like everybody in Thibodeau walks downtown and goes and just hammers Renee's, Rox's, and the Goose. And I was just astounded. Unbelievable. Hit all 20 Jello shots, buying shots, pizza, freaking everything. You can go check it out on social media. Please check it out. Throw a like, throw a subscribe our way on YouTube, everything, man. And it was just awesome. And then we took a break on Monday. No such thing as a hangover.
Yeah.
Yeah. A big believer in that. It's all mental.
Recharge.
Exactly. Yeah. All mental. Hot take. But Monday we did a little recharge. Tuesday we headed up further north. We did, I went to Basile, Eunice, and Church Point.
Damn.
Yeah. So it's all kind of in that same realm, and just in totally different vibe. Obviously the drinking and party is still there to a max, and it's cool. But to see the whole culture aspect of it, the Cajun, culture, French, like everything's in Cajun French and all these different chants and songs, and it's like cool to see in the costumes, chasing the chicken, whipping the kids, just totally different from anything like that I experienced in New Orleans and Thibodeau. Then you go there and it's a total different side of things, but you're in the same state. That's what's so unique about Louisiana is like there's all these different cultures, and you can hit them back to back, and it's totally different. And an hour away is totally different.
Yeah.
And that was cool to see, and obviously had a good time, and I'll be throwing out tons of content the next few days this week of Mardi Gras stuff that we did, and go check it out, please.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half drive from different cultures in South Louisiana for Mardi Gras celebration.
That don't happen everywhere.
Yeah. Shout out to our friend Scott Fontenot, the mayor of Eunice, who actually I went down for the Eunice run that afternoon, which was really cool to see, and went downtown and saw the live music and saw the people, the food, and just everything about the culture and the tradition that you see for the first time. I'd seen it in college, but really kind of seeing it for the first time as an adult, kind of taking it in and how different it is and how just like we talked about, it's so ritualistic.
It is. It's very ritualistic, and that's what makes it so unique. That ain't everywhere.
No, not at all.
It really ain't.
I don't know how many times I heard on Tuesday, it's just a Tuesday anywhere else.
Yeah, everywhere else is just a Tuesday.
Because it really is. I was in Eunice and having, looking around, and people are in their costumes, and people have been cooking all day and night. People were at the, they were downtown in the square the night before listening to live music, and just seeing the celebration is just, it's so cool. I walked in Spanish Town with the Italian marching heritage on Saturday morning, which is always a great time.
Come on.
And had a great crowd for Spanish Town. It's always crazy to see how many people come out to Baton Rouge the morning of, some of the biggest parades in, kind of the Mardi Gras weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was a fantastic celebration. I thought the weather.
Oh my gosh, everywhere it was awesome.
It was awesome, man. I mean, it was just it was incredible. So obviously, Louisiana Loaded wants to be everywhere where Louisiana is, right? Whether it's the culture of Mardi Gras, whether it's some of the food and the traditions of what goes on around our state. Some of the music is what we will dive into, and obviously the sports. And we will talk about LSU baseball, who is off to a phenomenal start.
Yeah, great
start. They got the 5th win of the season versus Nichols earlier this week. The boys will load up and take off to Jacksonville for a round-robin tournament that they will play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we'll break that down with Doug Thompson. Doug, of course, the former LSU pitcher, and now works on the radio broadcast for the LSU Sports Radio Network, has been on the call. We'll talk about the depth. We'll talk about the lineup. We'll talk about the pitching. But before we sit down with Doug, I know that you've been busy doing some reporting, but I know you've been also paying attention to what's happening with the baseball team. And,
right.
Great start.
Awesome start. And I hate to miss opening weekend because at the box it's just different and the vibes are immaculate and high and, all that stuff. And Mardi Gras is great and all that. But I went back and obviously looked at the box scores and all the different, facets of their 4 games that they've played, or 5 now.
Yeah.
And everything's clicking.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they found different ways to win on the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday was, they won each one in a different way. They had 2 blowouts and then they win a close game. And to have that early on in the season and to be able to succeed and do that early on in the season as a team shows a lot of maturity already. And now obviously they haven't faced any real adversity yet. And so who knows what's to come. But, you see guys, you see guys struggle, you see guys succeed, you see guys do everything. And then, that's the best part about baseball is you can look forward to the next weekend. Kason Evans, didn't have a great start his first time as a Friday starter. And honestly, I wasn't expecting him to go out there and throw 7 and punch out 20 guys, and to have him struggle a little bit early on is great.
Yeah.
Because he's not, we know everybody knows the talent's there.
Yeah.
He's got the 4 pitches, it's not a mental thing that, it's more of like, look, you're stepping into this new role. Like it's going to be different. You got to have time. It's going to take time to adjust to that, for him as a guy who mostly came out of the bullpen. Obviously, he's pitched in big situations. It's not, look, Friday against Milwaukee is not a big situation, compared to what he's done. Obviously, and it's an inferior opponent, but it's just that Friday night role, and it may get in his head a little bit. But you want him to struggle right now, because he's going to be your guy, whether it's out of the bullpen or as a Friday night guy throughout the season. And so I think that's great. And who knows? And obviously Saturday you get Cooper Moore, who goes out there 6 innings, I guess 11 or 12 punchies, like guy who hasn't pitched here before on Saturday doing it, and which is awesome. To see that early on too is like, man, this dude looks freaking comfortable.
Yeah, I heard Jay after the Nichols game say that he was most impressed with his pitching performance Wednesday versus Nichols, but before that, the Saturday performance was by far the best of the season up to this point. Now, just 5 games in, but Saturday was very impressive on the mound.
Very impressive, for him especially. And then, William Schmidt goes out there Sunday, and he does well. He doesn't, he walks a few guys. I think he walked 4, gave up a few runs, but, stuck it out. And for him, that's great. And they're going to keep, look, that's the thing is there's so many games in this early, in the season and an early part of the season too. You're playing probably 5 games a week. Like next week they play 3 this weekend, and the next weekend they play 4. And so you're playing a lot of games, and so those opportunities are going to come. For these guys, and whether you're starting in relief, like you're going to find out who you have pretty quick. Especially on the mound. And so, they're going to navigate it. Jay always does, and he's going to mix and match and in the field and on the mound and at the plate, behind the dish, whatever. And so he's, in the process of doing that. And I think it's just the beginning of what this team really could be.
Depth's been very impressive early on, obviously, to see the depth up close and have just get an idea of the options that Jay Johnson and the staff have to choose from every day in putting this lineup together and the pitching staff. So we'll talk all about that with Doug Thompson. As Willie said right when we came in, we appreciate you finding us as far as the subscribers go. If you have not done that and you are watching Louisiana Loaded here and you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure and hit that subscription button. You can also hit that bell right next to the subscription button, which will give you notification once the content goes up. So to keep up with everything coming out of Louisiana Loaded, make sure and subscribe and get a notification from us when the content goes out. We appreciate you finding us. Come back with us. We'll have our conversation with LSU Sports Radio Network announcer Doug Thompson right here on Louisiana Loaded Podcast. Welcome back to the Louisiana Loaded Podcast here as we are joined by our special guest, former LSU baseball standout and now part of the LSU Sports Radio Network, and as always, representing our friends from the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation.
Hey,
Doug Thompson.
Got it right.
Boom.
Huh?
First time you've ever got it right.
Only get it right when the lights are on.
That's all that matters.
That's it.
That's all that matters.
DT9.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see you, Doug.
Absolutely.
Doug has been on the call for all 5 of LSU games up to this point. Tigers boarded a plane after the Nichols game on Wednesday night. They land in Jacksonville late. They're getting up for a 3-game set, little round-robin format coming up in Jacksonville this weekend. But, Doug, through 5, LSU has looked very impressive, whether it's been in the field, at the plate, and on the mound. What has stood out to you?
I'm just so cautious.
Too early, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so early, and the pitchers for Milwaukee, the velocity certainly wasn't there. But that said, they made some good pitches. Like I now have the strike zone back. I don't know why. TrackMan's allowed us to now see the strikes, so I can complain about that. Last year it wasn't there. I thought it was specifically because of me, honestly, because the last
So it is
game
back now.
at North Carolina.
Yeah.
I
recall.
Really played hero.
Listen. I knew we were in trouble that last game when they told me the home plate umpire was the same guy that made the random call with Milazzo at second base.
Oh my God!
Remember?
That was the same guy.
Same guy, right? So, and he did something else earlier. I just was like, oh, this guy doesn't. He seemed to have it out for LSU for some reason, right? Well, that night, I had the TrackMan on the deal, and dude, let me just tell you, it was egregious. Like he called, 8 balls strikes for them and 1 ball a strike for us over the course of the game, and like 5 strikes, balls for us and none for them. Like it was like, wait. That's 14 pitches that are like completely different. It doesn't usually happen like that. Usually, like if he's missing, but he's missing both ways, nobody really. It's okay. All right. So he just doesn't like low and away, and you move on.
Yeah.
Right? But now we have it back, and the truth of the matter is, I hate to say it, but you can hear when people think it's a strike. You hear it, right?
Right.
But I see it.
Ooh.
I see it.
Yeah.
And these guys this weekend, the guys behind the plate, there wasn't a lot that they missed. There really, truthfully wasn't. Wow. And somebody sent me an incredible. I'll send it to you, Will, and you can share it, or maybe even I'll text it and we can share it on the screen. But the strike zone in the major leagues from 2005 until now, this infrared kind of where the called strikes,
right?
Where, dude, it's crazy. Because now there's accountability by the umpire. So here's what we see less of today. The last pitch I threw in the 1997 game was at least that far off the outside corner.
It was.
Yeah.
It was called a strike.
Right.
Today, that never happens. Like
logistically, it just can't.
The umpires just don't give it out there anymore, because now they go back and there's this thing on their bench, on their seat of their locker that says, hey, here's where you were tonight. Here's your percentage of accuracy. You called this many balls that were strikes and that many strikes that were balls, right? So now way more strikes are called balls than when I pitched.
Yeah.
Like now you really do have to throw that pitch over the plate, right? Or you're just not going to get it anymore. So, the umpires were fine. Now, what I was getting at is those Milwaukee pitchers, they didn't have velocity, but watching that strike zone and some of the pitches they made in some of those moments were really good pitches, like at the knees, on the black, like King Griffey Jr. couldn't have hit it, right? So there was some credit to be given, especially to the first 2 starters. The lefty ran out of gas early, and then the first guy they started on Saturday was pretty good. But I loved it. And if you're a head coach, you got a little bit of everything. You saw your team fall behind. You saw your team be in a scrum, and then they kind of opened it up late. So to be able to come from behind, to be able to have a tight game in the opening weekend and a 10-run rule, like everything kind of worked out for them. So all in all, I think what more could you ask for over the first 5 games of the year? They've showed that between 1 and 9, they have guys that can hurt you. And they've showed like just an abundance of riches coming out of that bullpen. Yeah. There's just 95 mile an hour arm after 95 mile an hour arm nonstop. So far so good. But of course, there's caution in the air, and you don't want to get too excited too early. And we just know, we just know how hard the SEC is. And honestly, think about it. Look, it's hard for me to say this because before this, I would say 1997 was the greatest LSU team of all time. A lot of people like to talk about what people have done after LSU, but when you talk about that team and dominating the opponents and the 13 losses, 57 wins, and 108, but honestly, the team with Cruz and Skeens, and it'd be tough to beat those guys, right? But look, they still almost lost. Right. They still went to game 3.
That's right.
Right? It's still so hard to win. So if they're good, they've got the best coach in America.
Yeah.
Like he's proven like this whole new era of transfer portal and NIL and having to figure all that out from year to year. Jay Johnson should write and publish the first book.
Seriously,
like there's going to be some people like Jay Johnson should
Lane Kiffin writes the forward,
like perhaps like, but Jay Johnson in terms of baseball, maybe all coaches, like 2 out of 3 years. Like first of all, who's done that? Give me that list of guys. And then, but secondly, like this guy is the best that there is, and he always says it. Like I don't need the best players, just give me comparable players because if I can get to Omaha, I have a lot of confidence that I'm going to win. So. We've got the right guy certainly leading the charge, but early on, you just want to be as cautious as possible. Never know.
One of the things that he said that stood out to me after the Nichols game was the pitching performance against Nichols. He was very impressed with, but he went back to the weekend and said Saturday was the best pitching performance that he's seen up to this point. Now, you mentioned it. Still very, very early. Weekend starters, what stood out to you?
Well, let's start with Saturday. Cooper Moore. It was one of the better performances I've seen there in the last 10, 11 years, and I watch Skeens. 30% changeups.
Are you kidding?
39% changeups, actually.
That's awesome.
39%
deadly
change-ups,
pitch.
28 changeups total, 25 strikes.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's the most deadly pitch in baseball. You know
6 pitches that he left the game, I want to say at 78, 79, maybe 80% strikes.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
stealing.
The chart. In fact, it's so good you wonder, like, can you really throw that many strikes in the SEC?
Yeah.
Like, because I think the magic number is like 72. Like, I would get in the habit of throwing a lot of strikes, and guys start to figure that out and get up there, strikes. And they're looking for it, and they can hurt you with one swing because they're now just like, he's throwing strikes. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to hit one of them, right? But his stuff was super, super, super good. Again, early.
Yeah.
I don't know about the opponent. They hadn't been outside, all the things. But, like, take the hitters and all the stuff out of it. If he'd have just thrown an 80-pitch bullpen, I'd have walked away like, wow. Like, overwhelmed with how dialed in he was. Like, that changeup at 85, it's like, remember Greg Maddox's deal that the righties would come back over the... It moves like that. Like it comes back. It's absolutely filthy. Friday, Cason Evans. He was Cason Evans that we expected through 3 innings. And then he got into this weird, like, how many times do you see 6 base runners reach base in a row? Period. Right. Like regardless of who's pitching, right? Like it's just a very uncommon thing. They didn't hit him hard. He hit the first batter of the inning, and just some weird things happened. Like the last double, like the kid hit it literally off the cap of the bat and it went over the third. But I'm not trying to make excuses.
Sure.
But like,
it's one of those
Cason
things.
Evans is fine.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be fine. His stuff's great. He's a great competitor. He's right where he's supposed to be. And that just kind of weird, unusual thing happened. And Jay Johnson's now like, okay, I've got this guy out there. I don't want to have a 50-pitch inning. It's not worth it, right? Let's just go get him out there. Let's get some of these other people in. So, and then on Sunday, William Schmidt. It's very simple. If he can get the first one over for a strike, and if not that one, for sure the second one, like he'll be one of the best pitchers in the SEC type thing. But for me, with him, it just has to do with that first one because he's got his other stuff is good enough to be in a hitter's mind that once the first one's over, they're in a defensive mode. The statistics go way up in your favor as a pitcher. But that's what Cooper Moore did so well. I literally felt like he was 0-1. He didn't throw 3 balls to one hitter.
That I saw that.
No
3-ball counts.
No. Like when I say it's one of the best outings I've ever seen, like I'm not now again, like there's other outings against much better opponents.
But they're just different.
In different environment, for the regional or whatever. But like in terms of pitching, like putting on a pitching performance.
How much more impressive? How much more impressive is it? Like he'd never seen that environment.
That's what I'm saying. Like all those things considered. I tell people all the time, like when they are preseason, we have all these pitchers, and I'm like, listen, you have to be able to breathe before you can actually go out there and do your thing, right? Like I went out there as a JUCO transfer with 250 innings under my belt, like plenty of college baseball, and I went in to start an inning, like I didn't have the bases loaded, and I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't even take my rocker step on the first warm up pitch, and had to have a moment out there like, all right.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I threw the first warm-up pitch up against the backstop, and after that, something clicked for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know that happens for everybody, especially someone that's like starting there or they've never pitched in front of more than 500 people, right? Like, for me, it was an adjustment. I've seen guys struggle with it. I was nowhere close to physically one of the more talented pitchers on either of the staffs I pitched on at LSU. I was way down the totem pole. But the truth is, everybody can't do it in those moments. And at the end of the year, you find out only 5, 6, 7, 8 kids can. And if you get to 6 or 7 or 8 kids that can, you can win the College World Series.
Yeah.
Right. So now I think this team is. I mean, where else do you want to be? You're number 1 in the country. You've 10-run rule 3 out of 5 games. This will be a great little test this weekend, both being on the road for the first time, and then there's a little bit more
juice,
formidable opponents kind of down there. So it's a great test. I'm excited to see how they respond.
Yeah. What about? I mean, offensively, I wasn't expecting a lot of juice, like they kind of showed out with, and I mean, obviously you have an inferior opponent, and the velo's not there. The SEC pitching style's not there. But talk about that a little bit. Like, were you expecting juice to pop?
I don't know necessarily. I guess if I'd have thought about it, Milam can hurt you. Curriel can hurt you. Milam can hurt you. Obviously, Brown can hurt you. The big fella can hurt you. Aaron Beatty can obviously hit it out of the ballpark. Like when you really think about it, like other than Stanfield,
right,
who hit 1 homer last year. They can all hurt you, and then they can bring Big John Pearson off the bench, and he can hurt you, or the Simpson kid. There's
a lot there.
There's some juice there, and that's interesting. And I guess maybe none of us really thought about it. We just lost the most prolific home run hitter in the history of the school, Jared Jones, and then you fill it with Zach York, and I was like, man, I mean, this is the perfect kid to fill those shoes with. They're just massive shoes to fill, and you have this guy that's obviously a power hitter. So that was the perfect ad after losing Jared Jones.
That's awesome. Just that's something that Jay is. He can do either. Yeah. I've noticed. He can play the small game, can let it fly. And he's had teams that can do both. It's just interesting to see exactly what this team will be. I think they can do both.
Jay is special, man. I'm telling you.
You don't have
Coach
to tell
Bertman,
me.
I know I don't have to tell you, but recently, Coach Bertman and I were having a talk, and he said, we can't let this guy go. He's better than I ever thought of being. And I was like, whoa, Coach. He's like,
he's better than he ever thought he would be?
No.
Skip thought Jay would be?
No. He's better than I ever thought of being.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I was like, Coach.
Wow.
He's like, no. Listen, he's gifted. He can coach it better than anyone, better than I ever could. And LSU needs to keep him here. And when I heard it, this is about 2 months ago, I was like, I've never heard him say that before.
Yeah.
Right. And they are incredibly close. like incredibly close. I've heard Jay tell people that Skip is his best friend, and I do not think that's an act.
Yeah, no.
Like he goes over there and it's not like you would think with Jay's schedule.
Yeah.
That it's just to stop in and he's going to stop for 5 minutes. And dude, he'll sit on that couch for an hour and a half, 2 hours and talk to him and watch baseball or football or whatever with him. Like he truly has totally accepted Skip as a mentor. And you hear him all the time say things like, no, this is Skip Bertman's program. I'm just here to take care of it. Like I've heard him say that recently. He has so much respect for this program and for what Skip Bertman did, not only for the program, but for the sport and then for the school. Like this guy's also the best athletic director in the history of the program too, right?
Absolutely.
So it's just been so cool to watch that relationship. And Coach Bertman, like talking to him now about this team, he's so excited about it and knows all the details and knows all the different players and likes to talk about all the different pitchers. And of course I love it, but can you imagine how much Jay loves it, right? And not just Jay. I was there the other day and Josh Jordan said, I got to tell you, I went and picked up Skip. We went to lunch, 2 hours. And Jamie Tutko says the same thing. And so does Nate Yeske. Like these guys, first of all, they're smart.
Yeah.
First of all, they're smart.
Right.
Like this is one of the greatest baseball minds in the history of the game.
Right.
And then when you start talking about how to motivate them.
Oh, buddy.
Right. Like now maybe the greatest to ever do it. Right. So, and look, Coach Bertman's like a grandfather to me, but hundreds of other guys would say the same thing. So it's so cool to watch him. Like I remember recently he had a medical issue, had a jaw issue, right? And that it disabled him from eating for 30 days. He could just drink through a straw. It was awful. It was just this nerve deal that he was dealing with. And of course, he's not had been in the best health before that, so he was losing all this weight. And I was at his house one day, and he said, "Dougie boy, look, I got to get back in shape for the baseball season." I was like, "Oh, you are? We're going to be back in that baseball field, Coach." And dude, like a month later, we were at the box in November watching a scrimmage, and like every pitch, like he doesn't take his eyes off of it. Like he's into every pitch. So it's just an amazing thing to watch. And I oftentimes now watch Skip and think, what is he thinking?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Like, what is he thinking? Like when he came here in 1983, like the kids were like, "Where's Omaha?" Like, what's in Omaha?
Yeah.
Like nobody understood. Like he'd been to he saw it.
Yeah.
Like he saw Dan Canterbury came when he saw it. A guy named Robbie Smith came and he saw it. Right. But these other people, they didn't know. LSU was debatably the 4th best baseball program in Louisiana in 1983. Think about that.
Yeah.
So like Skip saw it, then he built it, and now, at almost 90 years old, he's sitting there watching this thing. And these people, like, I don't know if you've ever noticed or gone to a game or sit next to Coach. They're coming for autographs.
Yeah.
People are sending their children.
He's so accessible.
Saying, go to that man and ask. I watch 5-year-old kids that have no clue.
Yeah.
They're coming with a baseball and a pen because mom and dad know.
Yeah.
Can you do to Dave, my dad?
It's unbelievable. It's just the story is incredible.
It is.
When you really think about the
It
story, it's like every time I go there, especially the big games, I'm like, look at this.
Well, I think the Wednesday day game is a great example. I mean, I think Jay's first comment in the post game was like, "Where else at 1 o'clock on a Wednesday do you have 12,000 people?
Don't you have to work?"
Yeah, right. I mean,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I don't know that our fan base thinks about the history to understand. Like a lot of people see it now. And they know it now in the last 10 years, right? But if you really know the whole story, it's unbelievable. It's a book you would read 5 times.
I agree.
No,
my grandfather was a part of the original coaches committee that formed with Skip. That was just local businessmen that could help him out.
Yeah.
Not necessarily financially. There was some financial gain to it, but it was my grandfather was a contractor, so he painted the locker room. He redid the fence. He did things that you could get in return to boost the atmosphere that you would get people in. And for that, we were going to LSU baseball games when I was 6, where there was 1,000 people there on a Tuesday night, but we were one of the originals that Skip had brought in, and my grandfather had the pride of it. Like it was, we have to have this thing grow. This thing has to catch on.
Skip would talk about the system. In day one, when I got there, remember this is after Warren had just hit his home run the next season, so it was
rolling.
It was cooking.
Yeah,
right. And he was a legend.
Yeah,
like he was.
He's Skip Bertman at this point.
He's Skip Bertman.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah,
that's exactly right. He is Skip Bertman, right? And the first thing that day one, everybody sat in the locker room, not the squad room this time. I think the next year it was the squad room. And the first thing he passed out was this laminated piece of paper that was a yellow legal pad. And literally on the drive from remember, he flew into Baton Rouge, had a few days, checked it out, like, okay, I need all the, and on the way, Miss Sandy drove, and he was writing it down. They need to paint the benches, need chair back seats, need new lights, need better, infield,
grass,
dirt, all the thing. Literally, I don't know how many items it was, 50, 60 items, whatever. And by the time I got my hands on it, it had been laminated, and every single one of them
checked,
had been crossed off, had been a line had drawn through. That's been remade into a typewritten, and actually, you guys both know Miss Janice Guitro, Mr. Billy and Miss Janice. When you talk about the history of the program, you got to tell stories about people like that too along the way. The Lipsies, of course,
right?
But Billy and Janice have redone their suite recently. Have you seen it?
Yes.
No,
I saw it.
I
saw it.
But so the thing is on the wall,
right?
The
original.
The original. Well, it was the original was handwritten, and then they typed it out. But that you talk about like setting goals and realizing like, wait, well, this is way bigger than me, right? But when you talk about it all starting with that, and you hear the struggles of how long it took, and man, it's just an incredible story. And by the way, Billy and Janice Guitro, this is a true story.
Yeah, they're the best.
I want to say the first year they go to Omaha is 1996. They don't know Skip Bertman. They've met him, but they don't know him. Like they know, now they're dear best friends. Right? 96 national championship game. Mr. Billy says, "Come on, let's go with 2 outs. Let's go. Let's start walking. To the parking lot. Let's beat the crowd, the thing." And Miss Jan, okay, and she begrudgingly gets up, and they get to like the portal to leave the stadium, and she says, "No. I want to watch this boy hit because he's from Alexandria." And I think that's where Miss Janice is from. Because he's from Alexandria. And he hits the home run.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I got chills, bro.
And he hits the home run.
Oh my God.
And to this day, they're probably two of the biggest LSU support. They don't miss.
Yeah, they don't miss.
They don't miss.
They're the first call.
They are there. Yeah. They love it. They're in Omaha. Yeah. It's part of their lives. It really is part of their lives. And he does the dinner every year. They truly love the players. They love the coach. They love Jay. And they're so supportive. But it's people like that. And so many others, thousands of others, honestly, that make that place what it is.
You have a great relationship with Jay. Talk to me about the business side of college baseball, because we had Verge in this seat a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about the importance of football and just how important now it is on every campus to be relevant, specifically an SEC school like LSU. But LSU has it's a little different in the way that you view baseball. How is the business of college sports affecting baseball, and specifically the giant that is LSU baseball?
Listen, it's obviously changed. As much as the get off my lawn folks, like I was. I was. It's just different now. Whether you think college players should make money or not, they are. It's the way of the world. Right. And if you love LSU, if you love the 7th inning stretch when they're calling Baton Rouge, or you love Tiger Stadium in the 4th quarter, whatever you love about the school and its athletic program, you got to find a way to support the payroll, which is now the kids. It's just the way the Supreme Court, it's just the way it is now, right? So Jay Johnson and all the other coaches now, they have to do more than recruit and talk about scholarships and books and meals and their living. Like now they have to talk about real money, real dollars and cents, like real money. Payroll, and here's the bottom line. If we don't figure out a way to support Jay Johnson and all the other coaches and TAF and sports properties, because those organizations are helping funding the business that is the athletic department, right? Which has 100 people that work for them, maybe more, right? Like it's a real, they pay the coaches, like it's a real business, right? So all three of these funnels and others, but those three major silos have to be supported if, like Verge said, LSU is going to stay relevant. If not, don't give any money to NIL. Right. We're going to get the money that we have to give them by the school. And if there's no free market money, then we're just going to be ranked 14th or 15th in the SEC in every sport. It's just literally that simple. So Jay Johnson, there's no secret. His profit share isn't even close to the top in the SEC. In fact, it's way closer to the bottom. But this guy's got some magic.
He's got something.
And he know and having that West Coast network, he's bringing in dudes. He's not missing, or he hasn't missed for the most part.
He hits more than he misses
on most of them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's and he's figuring out a way to do it without the money now. Now, but that has a little bit to do with Skip Bertman, the mystique of LSU, the fact that he's winning, Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens and all the LSU things, but that's not going to last.
Nope.
It's not going to last. Yeah. If he doesn't get the money to keep winning, it's just a matter of time. It doesn't matter if we have Joe Torre, Casey Stengel, Bear Bryant. It doesn't matter who's coaching.
Yeah.
If these coaches don't get community support, the college has to give a certain amount of money per the profit share, but they can't give more than that, right? The NCAA has ruled that, and that money goes up for the next 10 years. But if you think about it like, okay, so all the SECs start with $20 million that the school has to pay the players, don't we all just still kind of start at zero?
Yeah, right.
So how much can Gainesville generate? How much can Starkville and Oxford generate? How much can Baton Rouge, Louisiana generate? Because unfortunately, that's where it is. I happen to be one of those people that hate it. I wish it would never happen. I don't know how they're going to fix it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? I hate it. But I want LSU to win. I want to keep Jay Johnson as our head coach, Lane Kiffin as our head coach. Right. I want Tiger Stadium to have 110,000 people on Saturday nights. Yeah. I want Alec Box Stadium to feel like magic is happening when they're calling Baton Rouge in the 7th inning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I want those things to continue. Therefore, I'm willing to get past I get it. Like, I get everybody, I get every guy out there, like, I'm not paying those kids a dime. I get it. I feel the same way. But I want that statue in front of Alec Box Stadium to mean something forever. Not just for the next couple years while Jay's figuring out how to put the magic together. Yeah. It's really truthfully about money now.
Yeah.
Look.
It's unfortunate.
We live in
so LSU's number one in the country right now. Do they have the highest paid roster? Is that how I look at it?
No, not even close.
No.
God, no. Not even close. Not even remotely close.
Which is nuts.
Not even remotely close.
That's crazy.
Well,
like what schools do in baseball? Can I ask that publicly?
Here's
like who is the big spender?
Well, no, it's out
like
there.
A&M?
No.
Texas?
Like South Carolina got 2.3 million profit share, 2.1 for this one. Like the profit share list is out there of what each athletic department decide to allocate to their baseball program. Yeah. Right. The trend kind of looked like the schools that had the least chance to win a football national championship. Yeah. Somehow those baseball programs seem to have a little bit more money.
Mississippi State.
But LSU, I want to say, was 11th, 12th, 13th on that list when it came to last year's actual profit share. So no. Now, what we don't really have a clear idea of is what is the free market in Baton Rouge yielding to the LSU players?
Yeah.
That's one that nobody's really pinned down yet and understands. So I've got to assume it's probably pretty decent.
Yeah.
Because we're winning. Yeah. But listen, would you rather depend on going to ask someone for money again next year or just have it?
Yeah.
And know you have it.
Right.
Which is easier to recruit with.
Right.
$2.1 million that is guaranteed. I think the kids actually refer to it as the guaranteed money, the profit share dollars. That's guaranteed money. The free market money is you hope Todd Graves or somebody does a deal where the kid gets a little bit more money for that deal, right?
Yeah.
So I guess LSU probably does compete pretty well there.
Yeah.
But in terms of like guaranteed money, no, not the baseball program, right? Yeah. And not any of the programs necessarily are up there in terms of profit share. I think football does well, and they should.
Yeah.
Verge is right. Football's got to win because they make the most money. Football has to.
It butters a lot of bread.
It absolutely does. It makes LSU better as a school, as a university, the entire thing. Football is the breadwinner, and it absolutely needs to be funded. How we fund it, I don't know. I know there's a lot of different ideas out there, a lot of different things kind of drumming up. But the reality is we got to figure out a way if we want to win. And we live in a unique spot. I'd rather be here figuring that out than Starkville.
100%.
Nothing against Starkville, but it's just a much smaller community than Baton Rouge, our state capital. This is our, and by the way, Starkville's got Oxford right there too. Like there's some things like we are the big SEC school in our state.
Here.
Yeah. But Fayetteville, they're going to figure it out. Knoxville, they're going to figure out how to make some money, and I think Baton Rouge is in a unique spot where we can figure it out.
Yeah. Last one, Doug. Doug Thompson from the LSU Sports Radio Network. You can hear him on the call. He does not travel with the team. He's at home games, but you see the league up close. And this is a different question than what we just talked about. I know it goes into a lot of rev share and how the rosters are paid. But I look around opening weekend. I see Oklahoma sweeping the series over in Dallas and Arlington. I see Texas preseason top 3. I see Mississippi State making a run back up to the top. What do you make of the league? Even like Tony Vitello out now in Knoxville, but it seems like there's still huge expectation
looks like another year
in Tennessee to win, right?
Looks like another year. I mean, 12 teams, I think, in the top 25, 3 or 4 or 5 in the top 10. It just looks like another year where the SEC is going to eat itself alive, and it's going to be very difficult to win. And 17 and 13, 18 and 12 is going to be your winner. Or 19 is going to be like, wow, this team might win the national championship. Like everybody's going to have the 100-mile-an-hour arms, and everybody's going to have the kids that can hit the homers and that can run fast. Like it's really become more like AA. Like it's these kids are like Derek Curiel looks like a major leaguer this year.
Yeah, he really
put on the 15,
put on the
20,
weight.
Like he literally looks like a major league
runs like it.
Grown man this year, right? And he probably could play in a major league. You probably wouldn't know the difference at this point. Kind of like Cruz, right? But I think it's just going to be another hell of the year in the SEC, and there'll probably be 2 to 4 teams in the College World Series from the conference when it's all said and done.
Former national championship ace Doug Thompson, who you can hear on the LSU Sports Radio Network, and always representing the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. And you can catch him here. He'll be back routinely giving his thoughts on Louisiana Loaded podcast on the Tigers. So appreciate you. Great to see you.
Thank y'all for having me, guys.
We will be back and close out Louisiana Loaded right here next on the pod. And welcome back here to Louisiana Loaded podcast. Great stuff with LSU Sports Radio Network announcer Doug Thompson stopping by and give us a little insight on the LSU baseball team. We'll recap that 3-game set from Jacksonville on next week's Louisiana Loaded podcast. If you don't want to miss it, make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. If you are watching here for the first time and you're getting our content and you are not a subscriber, just go ahead and click that subscription button for us if you don't mind. We appreciate that very much. Willie's been doing a little bit of groundwork, field work, as he's been down at the Mardi Gras, giving us some live interaction. One of the reports that went maybe a little overlooked during Mardi Gras week that came out of Super Bowl week a couple of weeks ago was local Baton Rouge businessman Todd Graves was out in San Francisco and Santa Clara for the Super Bowl and was stopped on the street by TMZ. He was also on the New Heights podcast, which is Travis and Jason Kelsey's podcast, and he was asked about his desire to get into the NFL, to maybe own an NFL team. Now, there are reports out there that Todd is, and I don't want to talk about another man's money, but there are reports out there that he is worth well over $20 billion. I think the last evaluation that came out on the Saints was that it was worth $6 billion as a franchise.
Right.
Tons and tons of money, but some of us, some of the people out there are lucky enough to have that means to an end. Todd is one of them. And it's always kind of been discussed since he made his fortune of possible ownership. And look, the Bensons obviously brought a Super Bowl ring to New Orleans. Yeah. They brought a Super Bowl championship there, and for that, we'll always live in just the top 1% of the New Orleans community because of that. It has over the last couple of years raised some questions on what's the strategy?
Yeah, where do we go from here?
How does it work? Do you own it until death? Is there a possibility that you could sell off a couple of stakes in this thing?
Yeah.
Now, I have not heard from the Bensons, from the Saints, on what their ideal scenario would be, if there's any scenario that exists at all. They may just say, no, look, they're going to own it till the day they die. I hope this works out at some point for our state, for the Saints fans. I don't know what goes on with the Pelicans. I don't know how that works, but just keeping the conversation to the Saints, I think Graves would be a phenomenal NFL owner. I mean, I think back of when Mark Cuban got into the NBA, and the things that he did to really elevate the Dallas Mavericks franchise, and it was very simple tweaks. I mean, when you go back and look at it, it was kind of ground shifting, but it wasn't as if he was flipping the thing upside down. It was just upgrading the locker room, making the amenities mean something to the players, really just kind of putting the players first. And not to say that the players are, I don't know the ins and the outs of the Saints and how it's run day to day. I know they've been at the top of the draft routinely for the last since Drew Brees and Sean Payton have left. I know that for a fact, and that's a clear indicator of your team is usually at the bottom of the league, and that may not always just mean on the field. Sometimes that's a microcosm of what's going on up top that kind of filters down to the field. So that's always kind of been my pushback with the Bensons deserve to have the say on what goes on with the Saints. They have been the owners since 1985. They have brought the team Super Bowl championships. They brought the team a ton of success. Drew Brees is a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's a lot of success stories in the Saints the last 25 years. If the Saints, my pushback would be, if the Saints are not a top priority of the expanded portfolio of which now is Benson Corporation, then it would be my desire as somebody who pulls for the Saints and from Louisiana that you put it in the hands of somebody who can consistently make it a top priority
and
who
can maybe flip it around a little bit.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just, it's not going to flip like that, as an NFL franchise. That just doesn't happen overnight. But somebody who can make those small adjustments and somebody who's passionate about it, like, we know Todd is, as a Louisiana guy, like, that would be huge, I think.
Oh, man. Enormous. And I know that there is, the NFL has got to be one of the best investments that you can make in any type of strategy, right? What was it? The Bensons bought it for $70 million in 85.
$70 million in
the last valuation was $6 billion. I mean, that's 40 years later. I mean, that's incredible return on investment, which is why, a ton of successful business people, they want to get into the NFL. And I wonder if there is a scenario where the Bensons would be open to selling a percentage of the Saints and maybe stay in the majority of the stakeholdership and be the primary owner, but have somebody who can come in and infuse a ton of cash
and take charge
into the organization and give them kind of the runway to say, hey, look, you take this over. You make this your priority. You understand business, you understand football, you understand athletics, you understand how this all kind of works. Buy in. Come in. Come on. Come see if you can make this thing work. And I think, a plan of like a 10-year buyout where you buy in and if the business continues to grow and thrive, which, undoubtedly it will.
Who knows
if there's some type of succession plan that can move into place for Graves. I look, there's not a lot of smoke around it. There's not a lot of wheels on it that has it running right now. There's not a lot of legs to it that have it running right now. But I love the fact that it's even being discussed. This is the first time I have ever heard him publicly acknowledge it.
Right.
Like, I think that there's always been discussions in his suites and his boxes at restaurants of, hey, man, could you, do you want to? And, maybe kind of like a nudge and a wink. But now
it's
to hear him publicly address it, right? I mean, is pretty cool. I think it gives the state, the locals, at least something to maybe chew on as far as this could be possible.
Right.
This could be an opportunity. This could be something that, we work with one of the great minds and marketers.
Yeah. In the state.
To me, that have ever existed. I mean, no state lines needed.
No, exactly.
In Gordon McKernan. By the way, if you're in a wreck, call our boy G. Get Gordon, get it done. But
888-8888.
That's right. I just those types of people.
Yeah.
I put Graves in that same type of class.
Right.
Where they look at those types of opportunities as something that if they want it,
let's go.
They're going to go get it. You know what I mean? Like, they are going to be aggressive on it.
Yeah. One of his favorite quotes, anything worth doing is worth overdoing.
That's right.
That's one of G's favorites.
That's right.
Which is the truth. If you're going to go after something, go after it. And Todd, I feel like, is that type of person, that type of marketer, that type of personality. Yeah. Exactly. And so, to have the possibility that he could lead a Saints to that franchise, and just who knows what's next.
Yeah.
And
look, I think there's too many examples in sports that you can point to, that you can look at, that says ownership matters. I just think that when you talk about, you can even go to the Dallas Mavericks. For as much as it was an advantage to Mark Cuban buying the team when he did in, I believe, the mid-'90s, look at what's happened since he sold it to the firm out of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, they've tried to come in, move the franchise. They've put a lot of almost bad publicity behind the franchise. There's a bad, almost stench to the Dallas Mavericks, even though they have Cooper Flagg. They had the number 1 pick. Yeah. There's not that feeling, and ownership doesn't give you these good feels that they're going to make it right. Right? I mean,
makes a real difference.
It makes a huge difference on the overall feeling to the customer base.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what's the direction? What's the outlook?
Where's this going?
Yeah, where's the money? I mean, what's going on? So, I think it would be phenomenal if it works out. Yep. I think these types of things obviously take time. I think it'd take a lot of time for something like this to happen. Mm-hmm. But like we said, I think the fact that it's even being discussed, that's something that Todd Graves can shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a street interview with TMZ.
Right, but he didn't.
In San Francisco. Hey, Gail Benson, would you, he's like, he could have easily been like, hey, no comment. Like, I'm not talking about that.
Right.
Because he knows
what he's doing.
What's going to happen as soon as he opens his mouth about it. Like, as soon as he talks about it and he says, I'm not interested, then people are going to say, oh, well, he's in. So
exactly.
I think it's great. Yeah. I think it it could be something that we will continue to watch, to obviously pull for here on Louisiana Loaded, and keep you up to speed. LSU basketball fell last night in a close one to Texas. Yep. Tigers still in some projections of March. I've seen them as low as a 12 seed, possibly to get into the dance.
Who knows?
That would be huge.
Yeah.
Kim Mulkey and her group, tough loss at home to South Carolina last time out. I think that makes them a tougher team moving into March. That was a tough loss, tough week for the Lady Tigers as they went to Austin and lost a close one, and then lost another nail biter at home. But things that we will all discuss in the next Louisiana Loaded podcast. To keep up with us, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure that you are keeping up with the content right here on social media. Willie doing a great job on all of our platforms of giving you kind of boots on the ground reporting, not just the Mardi Gras stuff. Those are kind of those are interactions that we'll have all throughout the year with Will. So great job, bro.
Awesome.
Make sure to subscribe. Louisiana Loaded Podcast for Doug Thompson for stopping by. Willie Helmers for our guy Brandon G behind the board. I am Jordy Collada signing off. We will talk to you next time right here on the Louisiana Loaded Podcast.